Hello and welcome to Politically Incorrect Knitters. My name is Ann Pinkava, joined as always by the lovely Deplorable Knitter. And this week we have an extra special guest, Miss Anna Knitter from Germany.
Thank you for having me.
We're very, very pleased you can join us. Before we get into Anna Knitter, though, I wanted to remind you guys, this month's been a little funny because we missed an episode and things got goofy, but we still are doing an October giveaway. You can get a copy of Cody Schlegel's Odyssey Tale. Awesome, non-woke story. And then this month, we're also giving away a copy of Little Lives Matter by Brave Books. I talk about these books all the time. They're so awesome. And they teach kids stories in such a relatable way. And my kids just beg me to read them. The other day we read 2 of them in a row. They just can't, they're like, can we read another one? Can we read another one? They just can't get enough of them because they're telling stories about real life in ways that they understand. And so this book is awesome. And it talks about why every little life matters, even if it doesn't look like what you expect it to. So these are our giveaways for this month. Oops, sorry. Love them. They're awesome. Make sure you comment below to get a chance to win. And then Anne, what have you got to show us?
Yes, and also before we start, sorry to have so much, housekeeping before we get to Anna, but our show is sponsored, as always, by the lovely Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. You can go to our website, chickenladyfiberarts.com, and get 20% off your order with PIK Boo 20 for the month of October, and get beautiful yarns like Lucky Charms.
Ooh, hold that up a little closer.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's very pretty.
I think it turns up slightly greener in the camera, but yes, it's very lovely yarn. And also Chicken Lady has a knit along. It's the last quarter, so October, November, December. And in her knit alongs that she has featured designers. So this month it is Devin from Knitting McPurley or Liz Clothier. And you get 3 entries in the knit along if you use either of their patterns. If you use Chicken Lady yarn, you get 2 entries. And each time you post a picture of what you're working on and use the hashtag, you'll get an entry. So the last quarter hashtag is, it's loud letters, CLFAMALQ422. So that's
and I will put that on the screen. And guys, this morning I got an email from Knitting McPurley that her everyday, I think it's called Everyday Cardigan, is 50% off right now. And so, hey, you can also get that and then make it for part of the 2 sweater challenge that Ann and I are running, because
that's right,
cold, guys.
Stack them up.
And her yarn is on sale too. I read in her newsletter.
Yes, exactly. You can get the cardigan pattern and some yarn for a discount, for a steal. So
excellent. Anyways, and also Chicken Lady discount code PIK Boo 20. Remember that, 20% off. Good.
20%
there we go.
Off of Chicken Lady yarns, PIK Boo 20. So Anna, tell us who you are. Introduce yourself to our followers, please.
Oh yeah, what can I say about me? I'm 32 years old. I'm from Germany. I'm coming to you from Germany right now, from Eastern Germany. I grew up in the Northwest, very close to the North Sea, but as the Austrians say, it's not true anymore because I've been away from my home for so long already. I studied Roman Catholic theology in Austria, and I lived and worked there for 11 years. So you would call it master. I did the master in theology and was a primary school teacher for religious education, because in Austria and in Germany, it's still, you have to go to this lesson. It's not like you can, or if you don't want to, you don't have to. It's a must for everyone. And if you don't want to attend religion, you have to attend ethics or philosophy. So I think it's a little bit different than in the US. I don't know. Yeah, so I was a teacher. Then I moved to Germany again because I met the love of my life, and he is from Germany as well. And we decided we want to start a new life together where we come from. And it's so different to live there where you come from. It's so relieving, I can tell you. Yeah, and I am a pattern designer and a yarn dyer and a podcaster and a pro-lifer and yeah, too many things at the same time, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome. You're well-rounded. Not too many things. You got a lot going on.
So in the knitting realm, at least. So what came first? Podcasting, dyeing? I assume knitting came first, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we in Germany, I don't know if it's still the case, but you learned it in school when I was going to school. So I learned crocheting, knitting, weaving, stitching, sewing, everything at school. And so really as a hobby, I think it started when I studied, because I was doing so much with my brain and I needed something to do with my hands to keep balance, you know? So that was when I studied. So I think with 19, 20, I started knitting and I was a bloody beginner. The first time DPNs, it was a nightmare. I was cursing and throwing the needles through the flat. It was horrible. It made so many mistakes. And yeah, then I discovered YouTube. First, the German-speaking communities and the German tutorials and so on. But I have to say, I don't like the German-speaking community so much. So it's not so innovative. It's not so friendly. It's not so open-minded. Well, it changed in the English-speaking community as well. We know that. But I always try to explain it by saying when you post something in German on Instagram or Facebook or so, hey, look what I have knit, or the pattern I have designed or so. And 50% of the comments will be negative in the German community.
Wow.
It's just like, I saw this already in another designer's, I don't know, Etsy shop, or it's not that pretty, or you picked the wrong yarn for that pattern, or I don't know, or something with the standards and guidance of the community. You always do something wrong. For example, your first post has to be an introduction post. You have to say who you are and where you come from, and then the second post can be your knitting project or something. So I experienced that on Ravelry. I only wanted to do a swap. I wanted to swap, and most swaps I saw were in the US and shipping only within US. So I thought I will go to Ravelry and look for a German Ravelry group. And there is a big one, or maybe an Austrian group, I don't know, German speaking. It wasn't possible. It wasn't possible to find a swapping partner because they didn't trust me and they thought I would trick them. And then I went to an American group and asked, hey, I'm new here. I'm from Germany. Would someone swap with me? 3 people said yes. That is the difference between Germany and the US. And that's why I decided to dive into the English-speaking knitting community. And I started watching podcasts. That wasn't a thing in Germany at all by then. So there weren't really knitting podcasts in German. And I started with Molly from A Homespun House, for example. That was the first one because she was living in Berlin. I think she is now in Germany again. In 2016, I started to podcast simply because I wanted to be an active part of the community. I wanted to get to know the people even more and interact with them instead of only consuming. And yeah, I had to decide German or English. My English isn't perfect at all. So I'm apologizing in advance to the viewers. I'm very sorry. I do my best, I promise. But when I started in 2016, when I look back and watch my old videos, sometimes it's really embarrassing. I don't know how often I say, oh, the word is on the screen. I don't know the word now and so on. But I improved that by podcasting. And I met so many lovely people you can't imagine. When you start a podcast, I can encourage everyone. There aren't too many. Some people are afraid if they should add to the gazillion podcasts out there and if they have something different to offer. Yes, everyone has something different to offer. It's lovely to watch new podcasters and everyone experiences huge support. I received messages, can I ship you yarn? I want to ship you something from the US you can't get in Germany. You are so lovely. And do you want to have that pattern and so on? It's so supportive. And if there are critics, they are always wrapped nicely, For example, three nice things like, oh, the podcast was great, your knitting is pretty, you are so nice, but could you please, I don't know, speak up, speak louder or something, you know? It's always very friendly, at least in my experience. Yeah, and I don't regret starting it.
That's awesome. I think that for most people, that is the case. When Anne and I started our podcast, I said to Anne, are you sure you want a podcast with me? Because people are going to be mean to you.
Okay.
Well, and
in our case, it's different.
I've had messages from people like, you know, I'm thinking of starting a podcast, but I'm not sure. And, you know, if I'm in, you know, any way connected in conservative politics, I'm afraid people will come after me. And I had one lady ask, she's like, so what, like, not to be too personal, but have you had any like personal backlash against you for being on a, you know, openly conservative podcast? I'm like, really? No. I mean, there's been a couple of mean comments and there's been lists and like, but nothing has come of it, you know, knock on wood. But it's really not been anything to speak of.
No. I think people are too afraid. I think there are more of us, normal thinking people, than the weird people out there with their snowflake problems. So I'm not afraid at all.
No, I'm not either. I'm just saying for the vast majority, I think everybody is quite lovely. If you do get into politics, you know,
okay,
you can expect a little bit, but yeah.
If you call your podcast politically incorrect knitters, I can expect critics, you know.
Well, obviously, Anne and I weren't afraid of them. I'm just saying for anybody else who's thinking about it. Anybody else, yeah.
Everyone has an opinion on everything, and if you say something, sometimes you don't, not even by accident. Sometimes I said something, I didn't think that someone could feel offended by it. It wasn't even politics. It wasn't even religion. I can't give an example now. Tiny things. And then I realized, okay, you can't do everything right for everyone. It's impossible. So then you have to decide, be silent and say nothing at all, or say what you like and love and what you stand for, but expect here and there negative voices, but they don't hurt.
Nah.
And it's one of those things too that, I mean, you mentioned that you wanted to podcast because you wanted to be a part of the community. Well, to do that, you have to put yourself out there a bit. And out of all the, you know, time that, you know, you've spent or we've spent or anyone's spent in front of a camera talking, there's going to be something just at some point. There's, you know, what can you do?
Yeah.
So, but you started podcasting in 2016. And so was that before you decided to get into dyeing? That was your first step into the community?
Yeah, definitely. I think my first attempt of dyeing, when was it? Maybe 2018 or so, but it wasn't very serious. So I was still studying. So after I have finished my first degree, I thought I want to get the doctorate degree, but I didn't finish it. It's not my jam, really not. Sitting all the day in front of the PC and writing for yourself, it wasn't so much fun for me. So I think in that time I started a little bit and I sold a few skeins here and there, but very serious I started last year in October. So a year ago. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Mm-hmm. And you ship internationally, right?
Yeah, everywhere. It's so funny because everyone is asking, even to Australia, even to New Zealand, even to, I don't know, I had Israel, I have US, I have Australia, I ship everywhere, yes.
Awesome.
Well, and also, I mean, a lot of people, you know, jokingly call you their opal dealer. So it's not just like hand dye, but...
Yeah, that's right. I have the Opal yarn subscription. It's only available in a few European countries, unfortunately. I know that because many people from the US asked me when I showed my subscription box. I receive it 4 times per year. Oh, where can we get this? This is so lovely yarn. And the fun part is you never know what you receive. It's yarn that is not in a collection yet and maybe will never be in a collection, so you can't buy it ever again. And I asked Opal, and they told me it had something to do with taxes and duty and so on. So they don't ship to the US. And then the people said, oh, please, could you offer some opal yarn at least? We don't care which collections, if every collection, but some opal yarn, please. And so I researched here and there. It's not so easy, to be honest, to get your hands on opal yarn. I didn't think so, but it is, because it's a very small family-driven company. So they don't produce so much. And now I'm offering opal, and the people love opal. I mean, I can understand. It's my favorite sock yarn as well. But when I tell my family members and friends what I do, or when I meet new people and they ask, what are you doing for a living? And I say, okay, please don't laugh. I dye yarn and I sell it. Okay, they can get that. And then I say, but you know, the Americans really love German sock yarn, and I buy the sock yarn and resell it to them. What? You ship sock yarn to the US? Yeah, they don't get it. They don't get it. But I think it's lovely. It's so much fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. I haven't gotten any yet. I'm not a sock knitter, but I will have to look into it.
No, I was going to say, when I first, just began to knit, and theirs was only one yarn store, kind of local-ish to me. I'd have to make a special trip to go. And it was mostly, acrylic yarns and very little wool or anything actually fancy. But there'd be like one little shelf, and it had all the German sock yarns. Oh. And I remember opal being there and going like, wow, like this is a special treat. It was my first little, knitting journey, I guess. I remember that as being like, whoa, that's really cool.
Yeah, that is so funny, because when I entered the international knitting community in 2016 or 2015, I only knew these workhorse yarns made in Germany. I wasn't familiar with hand-dyed yarns and merino yarns and all these luxury blends of yarns. And I was so jealous, because all the Americans had these pretty hand-dyed skeins. They were holding it to the camera. I was watching Sarah from the Love Sockful podcast a lot. I don't know if you know her. She had a lovely podcast. Unfortunately, she isn't uploading new videos anymore, but she is so awesome. And she's like the crazy sock lady. She was only knitting socks and was buying so much sock yarn and all Gnome Acres yarn, for example. Do you still know Gnome Acres?
I don't.
No. Oh, they don't dye anymore as well, but it's so fun. They had these names like Christmas Hem or Hermione and I don't know, Lovey Dovey and so on. It was so fun and so innovative. And for me as a German, it was so boring to see our Opal did a good job now, because they have actual names for the colorways. But back then it was 00739, the color, it wasn't. It's still fun, but so I only wanted to have all the indie dyed yarns then. And now I'm converted back to a non-snob knitter, so to say. So there are very special yarns for special projects, but for example, socks, I pretty much only knit in true sock yarn, very sturdy sock yarn.
Yeah. I don't knit socks. It's well known to people who watch, but because I am super hard on socks, and so it's just not worth the time and the effort to me to make a pair of socks on tiny needles with pretty yarns for me to wear a hole in them in like 3 weeks.
Oh, so, you won't have this with Opal Regia Patent Scroy or anything. I promise you.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll try it. But
yeah, you should try it.
Right now you're saying, oh no, you can't do it. Come on.
One of these days I will knit socks, just because I always say I won't. And you can never say never. But so I know that you design also. And the one that I know you most for is the Welcome Baby Socks.
Yeah, it's my free pattern. It's in the blog issue 4. I wrote it down. Yeah, Neil asked me to provide a pattern. And you want me to tell the story behind these, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. If there's a story, yes.
So I was working for the biggest German pro-life organization. It was a nonprofit organization, or is still a nonprofit organization. And my colleagues knew I love to knit. And they used to give pregnant women in need, in crisis pregnancies, they gift them tiny socks from H&M or store-bought tiny baby socks, just to visualize what we are talking about. We are not talking about tissue. We are not talking about a problem or a pregnancy. That it's a baby and will fit into these tiny, cute baby socks. It's just a visualizing help. And my colleague phoned me and was asking, Anna, you like to knit, right? And I said, yeah, I hear you. What is your question?
Tell me more.
Yeah. And she said, wouldn't it be a nice idea to ask people to knit baby socks and we can give them to the pregnant women in need? So it's more special. And they see that some people, even strangers, are looking forward to this newborn baby, even if the father isn't interested or the grandparents aren't interested in the baby. What pretty much always was the case when we were counseling. Is that right? Yeah. Counseling these women. And I said, okay, hung up the phone, have written a pattern, and I made a video tutorial in German for the German YouTube. And we wrote a post and we received way over 1,000 pairs of welcome baby socks from all over the world.
That's crazy.
My colleagues were asking, Anna, what did you do? Where did you post that? I mean, we received a parcel from the US and from New Zealand. And then I told them that I have this private YouTube channel and so on, and that I am a part of the community. And they were, what? They didn't know that. And they were so surprised. And every pair of baby socks came with a nice handwritten note from the ladies who knit them. It was amazing. And so we not only gave them to the women in need, but also we sold them, and the money we collected, we donated to. So we donated to the women, because they not only receive baby socks from us, they get all the help they need, financial help, mental help, everything they need. So there is no reason to abort a baby just because they think they can't afford it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is the history of the welcome baby socks.
That's amazing. I cannot. 1,000 pairs of socks. I can't imagine. That's got to be. You had to feel amazing when that happened. I mean, you probably hope that you got like some, and then be blown away.
Yeah, and because my I had to do the youth work. I don't know really the English way to say that. So our organization has many elderly people and average age people, but my job was to educate, entertain, and everything the younger members, you know. And I thought, oh, when I now post something about knitting, I don't know the young people nowadays, but I have received 30 pairs from a 20-year-old exchange student. I think she must have been in Texas or something, because she was wearing these cowboy boots and a cowboy hat on her profile picture. And she said, oh, it's perfect for the lockdown because I'm not allowed to do anything. And now I can knit all the socks for you. And yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing to see how many people value every human's life. It was very empowering. Yeah,
that's really cool.
And I've knit that pattern several times. They are really addicting. I did something to let them live make along, and like, you know, I had got a sock yarn where the yarns match perfectly, so it was like perfect 2 at a time stripes, and like I couldn't stop myself until I finished that entire skein. It was such a fun thing to knit.
Yeah, and it doesn't need much yarn. I think 15 grams or so should be enough for a pair of baby socks. Mm-hmm. So perfect for leftovers.
That's awesome. And it doesn't have to be the hard wearing socks, because it's for babies. So they can, you know, it can be any cute little thing. They're not walking around on them.
Yeah. In addition to the socks, people were asking me, can we ship to you other items as well? We sew, knit, crochet and everything. So we received garments, blankets, everything, hand sewn, hand crocheted, everything. So it was lovely to see that. And the women who received these presents were touched to tears, because you have to imagine imagine the situation. You are pregnant from a guy who isn't interested in you or your baby, and he will leave you when you get the baby or when you keep the baby. And your parents are shouting at you, you will ruin your future. It's a huge mistake. Or one woman told me that her mother said to her, having children was the worst decision in my life. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and these
horrible.
women received these baby socks with notes from us, and they cried and said, oh my gosh, it's my baby. It's a baby. They realized it's a baby because they saw they could imagine the tiny baby feet, and they were touched because complete strangers are welcoming their baby. And yeah, it's lovely. It's very lovely. We pro-lifers are so nice. I don't know what the pro-choicers problems is. I don't know. We are very nice people.
Well, I think the main thing against pro-lifers is that they say we only care about the baby until it's born. And then
but that's not true. That's
right.
Sorry, that's BS, because I saw what I'm still a member of this organization, and I see every day what we do, and how much money they receive. And we have this godmother program. So when the women need someone, so a woman who helps picking the right hospital, or who educate her how to be a good mom, or where can I get, the first things for my baby cheaper than usual, and so on. And if she needs someone to talk to, like a friend, she's there, and she's complete without any, so the mother don't have to do anything. She doesn't have to pay. She doesn't have to become a member. She doesn't have to be religious or anything. We just do it because it's right, and she needs help as long as the help is needed. So yeah, I don't know how this rumor got into the world that we only care up to birth. It's nonsense.
It is nonsense. But I think my husband and I were talking about it the other day, that the problem with like pro-life and pro-choice is the talking points. Ours, what you said is beautiful and eloquent, but it takes more explaining than just saying, oh, well, you don't care about them after they're born. Like, to refute these arguments, it takes a lot more. It's not an easy little snippet that you can just post real easy, and that's a lot of the difference, in my opinion. But that organization sounds amazing, and I have been looking for something like that in the US. Guys watching, if there's something, it's been put on my heart to work on some charity things, and so I would love some recommendations for something maybe in the US, or if the one that Anna works with is a great one, or
I know there are many in the US, because many people reached out to me and told me that they support their local pregnancy help center. So I'm sure the viewer will let you know.
Yeah. I just it's one of those things. My grandmother passed away a few years ago, and she did oodles of charity crocheting, and I wish I had asked her where she sent the stuff, because now I want to do it, and I'm not sure she knew all the people and everything. And so guys, I need help. Let me know.
That is something that that has been talked about a little bit before. Okay, so when DK and I first got together, it was because we had been asked to be a part of a crafting conservative art display. And the lady who ran that was saying that that if you want an art exhibit for, quote, craftivism, it's very easy to get liberal crafters, but it's very difficult to get conservative crafters. And kind of the difference being that, a liberal crafter will make something to send a message, and a conservative crafter will, knit a baby hat and send it to a charity. So it's that sort of different mentality. And she wanted an art show. So she was trying to find people. But yeah, that a lot of people that conservatives more, knit for other people or knit to sell, and don't necessarily, crochet tree covers or,
yeah, we knit for a practical purpose.
Right.
To keep our family warm and cozy. So, and not to be on the stage or somewhere. Yeah.
You've told us all about your welcome baby socks, but what kind of other things do you enjoy designing?
So mostly I think there are 3 or 4 patterns, 3 sock patterns. I love to design sock patterns because I like to knit socks out of all my busy yarns, but it's so difficult to find patterns you can knit with busy yarn. So with self-striping like opal. And so, for example, I don't know if the camera shows it very well. My last pattern is called God's Promise. It has this name because I wanted to knit this yarn, but it was June. And I thought, no, I can't do that. So I waited until July to knit this and to publish this pattern. And it's called God's Promise because for me as a Catholic, the rainbow is the sign of the covenant of peace between God and humans and nothing else. So I don't know if the camera picks it up very well. So this is a very easy but effective textured pattern. And I knit it in my Halloween mini set as well, because you can use half the repeat for every color. So it has this nice effect. So I usually design textured patterns, not lace or cable or so, because when I knit socks, it's my relaxing time. I watch a documentary or a movie, or I listen to an audiobook, audio play, and then I don't want to concentrate on a complicated chart or anything. So, for example, my Helgen pattern is also only knit and purl stitches. Yeah, here you can see this, the texture. It's very, very easy. It's I think a repeat of 8 rows and 8 stitches. So it's very easy. After the first repeat, you know it by heart. And it's called Helgen because I like Elder Scrolls Online so much and Skyrim. So yeah, for the viewer who have played it, I don't have to explain anything. And for the viewers who haven't played Skyrim, play it. I don't know. What are you waiting for?
my husband used to play it, Skyrim. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing game. Not so easy. I started it on the PS4. And when I told my husband that I tried to play Skyrim on the PS4, he was like, it's a PC game. Why do you play it with a controller? That's not possible. So I tried it on the PC, and that is so much easier. So much easier. But even easier is Elder Scrolls Online. I don't know. It's way easier.
You play Elder Scrolls?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have to get my husband. He plays it every day. I'll have to get hooked up with you. I'll get you. You and my husband can play Elder Scrolls together, okay?
Yeah, and my husband too. So he is playing Elder Scrolls Online too. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It's very much fun. Yeah. I like that. I like fantasy. I also like to read fantasy. So it's yeah. Yeah, so Helgen socks. And last year I started the first mystery knit along for Advent. Actually, that was my first released pattern, and my customers are crazy and I love them because my first pattern was a mystery pattern. So people didn't know what to expect. I mean, it could be awful, but no, it was a very nice pattern, and I re-knit it in Christmas colors this year because these are the colors for this year's mystery knit along, and it's a stitch sampler. It's very easy. It's really only knits and purls and very easy and short repeats, and you can knit all my sock patterns on every shoe size. That's a thing I came across, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but what I found out, or how it seems to me, is that American sock patterns always have sizes like S, M, L, XL, or for children or men's size or so, but it's not specific.
Right.
And some people count rows, for example, but that's difficult because some yarns are thinner, some yarns are thicker. Peyton's Croy, for example, is very thick for a fingering weight yarn. And in Germany, we use sock knitting tables. So for every shoe size, we know, okay, that is how much you have to cast on. That is how long the foot has to be. That is how you have to do the heel. That is how you have to do the toe. And because I was asked so many times how to knit it in this or that or this size, I sat down and converted our sock knitting table into inch and into UK and US shoe sizes. And you guys, it's so complicated in the US. It's unbelievable. We have shoe size for men and women together. So we don't have men and women sizes, because if the foot is, I don't know, 30 centimeters long, it's not important if you are a woman or a man. But in the US, the same German shoe size has a different shoe size for women and for men. So I figured it out. And for the UK as well. And then I have this in my shop as well. So for fingering weight yarn, and then for fingering, how it's called, sport and DK weight, the sock knitting table as well. So you can from now on, you can knit all the patterns you like in all the shoe sizes, from children up to Bigfoot. So yeah, that many people say it's very helpful. So it seems like there is something similar in the US sock knitting system. How do you know that your socks fit your husband, for example? How do you make this?
Yeah, my mother knits socks in our family. I don't knit them, but she's got a book that has like maybe something similar. But since she is the sock knitter, Mom, don't watch this, I'm probably going to buy her that as a gift, because it sounds like it'd be real nice and easy to have an easy reference, and then she can take notes on it, because like one of my sisters loves socks, so write down what her size is so that she never has to look again. And
and how did you do this with sock knitting? How did you make sure that they fit?
Well, besides just putting it on my feet, that I've done many times before, where I've had to, type into Google, a size, like a size 8 shoe, and what is that in inches, and then sort of like hope.
Oh, but you have to cut.
If they're like, if the pattern is like, knit until 3 inches before the end of the foot, and I'm like, that's great, I'm knitting this for somebody else.
Yeah.
So I'm like, trying to guess. But yes, well, I actually got your sock chart the other day, because I had some DK sock yarn, and I don't normally work with DK sock yarn. So I'm like, okay, how can I convert and patterns and the rest of it? So I'm excited to try it. I only, just flip through it, but.
Yeah, because I don't understand how this works, because everyone knits a different toe and a different heel, and they are shorter and longer depending on the toe or the heel you knit. So even if you know how long the foot is, you have to know how long your toe will be to, so I assume it's very complicated, but with this sock knitting table, it's very easy, I promise. Yeah. Awesome. And I design cowls because I like to wear cowls. I know shawls are very pretty, and I have knit a gazillion number of shawls, but they are not so practical during the day. Now that heating is luxury, you need to stay warm, and when you put up, I don't know how you do this, but when I wear a shawl and I move around and I'm cooking and I'm cleaning or so, the shawl comes off my shoulder. I have to tie a knot somewhere and keep it where it, but a cowl you just pull over and it stays where it should be, and it keeps you warm. And that's why I'm very much for cowls. Yeah.
I'm a fan of cowls myself too. When I do wear a shawl, I have a pin that my husband got me, and I find that actually helps it stay a little bit better, because I can adjust it. But
then the ends are still dangling down when you open the dishwasher, for example.
Well, I was gonna say, I generally very, very rarely wear shawls, and it's usually like a special occasion, so therefore it's okay, because I'm trying to be fancy. So
okay. I see.
One of the first I think one of the first shawls I ever knit, it was very thin and very long. So I did the whole 1800s girl thing where I wrapped it around my shoulders and then tied it around my waist so I could keep it out of the way.
Okay, but you know, like, as a statement piece, why not? Why not?
You know, yeah. Not necessarily something I'd do in public, you know, unless I was at some historical event, but you know.
Yeah. So my first cowl was also a mystery knit along because I love mystery knit alongs. I love them. I have participated only in one so far because I'm very picky regarding designers, to be honest. And it was Tohi Locatelli's starting point back then. And I know Stephen West makes all these mystery knit alongs, but these patterns are too crazy and too big and too many yarns, and it's not my piece of cake. So I did this for Lent. Unfortunately, you can't really see the textured patterns. It's again very easy textured patterns, and this we knitted for 7 weeks during Lent. Every Friday I released the new clue, and this Advent we will do this over 12 clues. So yeah, it's so much fun.
So this Lent is also going to be a mystery?
Yeah.
And will it be a cowl? Is that part of the mystery? Okay.
Yeah, and it will be in these colors. So you can pick the colors you want, but I designed the cowl for this Advent in these Christmas colors.
It's so pretty. I love all of those colors.
Yeah, me too.
I am like you. I don't like the mystery knit alongs, and I know everybody's going crazy about the Stephen West right now, but I've seen the first clue of it, and it's just so much. So much, and I just can't imagine working on it and then at the end being like, I don't really like this.
And
you know,
mostly the people say it was so much fun to knit. I learned so many new techniques, but I will never wear it.
Right. And is that useful? You know, I mentioned to you before we started that I homeschool my kids, and part of our homeschooling, we go to a co-op where all the kids can take classes from other people. And I've been looking for a project for next semester, and those socks that you showed off, I might have to talk to you about using that pattern for my students, because I want them to learn how to do different things, but I want them to finish with something. I don't want them to just, like, we've done it where they make little samples, but what do you do with those at the end? So those socks, or like the cowls, those are really great projects for learning different things without, and still having something to show when you're done. So that's awesome.
And there's nothing more magical than turning a sock heel for the first time. I mean, it's still fun later, but once you're like, oh wait, it worked.
Yeah, and it is so, many people are in fear of knitting the heel. So many women tell me that they love to knit, and they start to knit the sock, and then they turn over the sock to her mom or grandma to knit the heel, and then they receive it back because they are so afraid to do something wrong. I mean, I was afraid too when I knitted my first heel, and it was very frustrating and cursing involved. But when you understand it, it's so easy. And you when you look back, you ask yourself, why was I making such a big deal out of it? But it's truly magical. Yeah.
That's awesome. The yarns in the Advent, those are hand dyed by you?
No.
Oh no.
I wanted to make it as affordable as possible for people. Okay. So these are all opal yarns, and you can get the yarn kit in my Etsy shop as well.
Oh, okay.
Because opal is not itchy or scratchy. You can also knit a pullover out of opal yarn, and it's easy to care for, and it is so warm. It keeps me so warm. So opal yarn for the win.
Well, you mentioned a little bit before, the German cost of living crisis that, that is going on. That I saw a thing saying that, there's a spike in, where to get firewood being Googled in Germany.
Yeah, so we are very dependent on Russia and other countries to get gas, to receive gas. And unfortunately, since a year, we have a horrible government. You know, we have many different parties in Germany, and our government right now is a coalition between the Green Party, the Social Democratic Party, and the Liberals. So it couldn't get any worse. Yeah. And, you know, the first decision was like, yeah, Green Deal. And we want to be very good to our environment, and we don't need electricity anymore. So shut down all the, how do you call the nuclear energy thingy-dings? How it's called?
Nuclear power, maybe.
Okay. So shut down all of these. We don't need them. Great. And now it took half a year to decide to not shut them down, to at least keep them running until March or April. That is a stupid decision. We should just keep them because it's more expensive to keep them for this short amount of time instead of, yeah. And yeah, I don't know what I think it's a result of the stupid energy politics. I mean, in the European Union, we have many potential problems, I would say, not only regarding energy. You know, we also rely on other countries because they produce our food. For example, all the tomatoes come from Spain or in Netherlands. We don't produce tomatoes anymore in Germany because they can do it and they will ship it to us, right? And then something like a war happens, or something like global shutdown of community, and all of a sudden we don't have vegetables in our supermarkets. So I think we are very dependent on other countries, and that is a big, big problem. And I don't think that this will change. And now with the war in Ukraine, yeah, it's very expensive. They say that we have enough gas for the winter. They say that. They said many things the last 2.5 years. So who knows?
Well, yeah. I know out of England that their energy minister was like floating the idea of 3-hour energy shutoffs during the winter to conserve. And then he said, oh, no, we don't mean that. It's like, oh, that's not going to happen. So 4-hour then.
Like, yeah, right. Well, our politicians say things like, you know, maybe don't shower with warm water, shower with cold water. That will save energy. Or don't shower at all, only use a washcloth. These are the things our politicians say to us and suggest to solve this energy crisis. Awesome. I don't know. I hope we get through the winter. I know my in-laws have a wood stove and enough wood, and they have a guest room, so we can walk to them and sleep there if it's necessary. But I stopped worrying and I stopped consuming the news because I learned from the last 2.5 years. I don't do that again. I know where I was with my mental health 1 year ago when they forced us, or were discussing if they could force us to get the Fauci. So I hope it will work out, but it will be super duper expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, at least you have plenty of warm socks.
Yeah, and that's a good excuse to buy more yarn. You know, we need to keep warm. I need that.
I mean, as knitters, at least we have the means to make ourselves warmer, if nothing else. But
yeah,
I mean, at this stage of the game, I really hope that that's not what this world is. You know, the fact that they're expecting us to, like, oh yeah, turn off your power for a few hours. No, that's not what we signed up for.
No, and the people in Germany are over it. You know, you have these few frightened people, I would say, and these few, I would say, green radicals who maybe take cold showers now, I don't know, or consider it. But most of the people here in Germany are over it. They can't stand anymore. They can't hear it anymore, that we have to give up all the things. We gave up so much the last 2.5 years. We weren't allowed to do anything. And it was useless. All the people know now, okay, all the drama about the vaccines and so on, they were useless because they are not working at all. And I am proof of it because I was fully vaccinated, because they discussed here to force us to do so. And if we weren't vaccinated, they would sort out, when you have, is it triage in English as well in the hospital? Mm-hmm. So, and if you weren't vaccinated, they would sort you out in the triage. And they were discussing these kind of things. And I thought, okay, I want to get pregnant. Then I want to rather get the vaccine now instead of when I'm pregnant, because they were vaccinating pregnant women as well. And then I would harm the child as well. And so I did that. And the mandate didn't get through, thank God. But I was fully vaccinated. And 3 months later, I got COVID, and it was very heavy COVID. I mean, like a heavy flu. I had similar symptoms before. But, you get the stupid vaccine, and then you are very, very sick for 2 weeks anyways. People know that, and they don't believe politicians anymore. And they want their normal lives back. They want to celebrate Christmas with their families and fairy lights and the lit Christmas tree. And they don't want to, I don't know, sit there like Scrooge and only eat porridge or so. Yeah. We have many demonstrations. Is it the word demonstration? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Here in Germany, in all the cities, everywhere, every Monday. And so I hope we are not so submissive as in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah. So are they still like doing COVID mandates on you guys? Do you still have to like wear masks, or is that ended?
Well, there is the thing they want us to do and the thing I do. So right. I think at the moment you have to wear a mask in public transportation, hospitals, and all these, homes for elderly people and so on. But other than that, I don't think so. I think we still have, how it's called when you have to get vaccinated to keep your job. Mm-hmm. I don't know how it's called. Is it the mandate?
A mandate, I guess.
I think we still have this for some groups like policemen and soldiers and so on. And I think they discuss to lift that again. But I don't feel any restrictions. I mean, possibly there are still restrictions, but no one cares for it.
Mm-hmm. Are there any, I know at some point there was, but are there any like vaccine passports? Like you have to show your phone with proof of vaccination to get into places?
Yeah, I was planning, I married in May. And I had to plan a wedding in these times, you can imagine. And when I wasn't vaccinated, I wasn't allowed to go into stores other than supermarkets. I wasn't even allowed to pick up my parcel at the fashion store where the DHL man dropped it for me. I wasn't allowed to go into that store. But I was allowed to go into the supermarket in the same mall next door. So yeah, you had to show up your vaccination passport thingy-ding for everything.
Wow.
That's nuts to me. And the fact that like, okay, so you can go into the supermarket, but this store that's another store, just not a supermarket, is off limits. Like who, like what?
It didn't even have doors.
It didn't have doors?
I was standing in the hall, and one step forward, I would have been in the store, in this fashion store. And I wasn't allowed. I went into that store, showed my, this receipt from DHL and said, oh, I want to pick up my parcel. Yes, please show me your vaccination passport. I don't have that. Oh, you have to go outside. Then I went outside and she gave me the parcel in the hall. It was funny and sad at the same time. I don't know.
I don't know if they do it there, but here at like the grocery store, we have like plexiglass over the part where you pay, but all the sides around it are open, and I don't understand. And like, so I go to give them cash, and you gotta like reach around the thing, and now we're like, what's the point? What are we doing, people?
Yeah, we have that too. Yeah.
Oh man.
One woman hit me because I wasn't keeping enough distance for her. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, she was an elderly woman and it didn't hurt, but she hit me. We were at the checkout in a bookstore, and in that bookstore only were vaccinated people because you had to show this passport. And these people were believing that this is the thing, now you are safe. And I kept distance, maybe a meter. So I don't know what 1 meter now is in foot, but I think instead of 1.5 meters, I only was a meter away or so. And she was very naughty to the checkout lady anyways. And I hate that when people are so naughty to service personnel. And then she was shouting at me, "Keep distance, we still have a pandemic." And I only said, you would be way more successful if you were nicer to people. And then I stepped back. And then she turned around and hit me. Okay, that says it all, I think. That says it all.
That's crazy.
Distance wasn't important anymore for her because she even touched me, so.
Right, you didn't have to touch me,
The level of crazy that the pandemic has brought out is just mind-boggling to me. If everybody in that store is vaccinated and you've all had to show your thing, then it shouldn't matter. You should be able to lick each other and you should be fine. I mean, for real.
Yeah. I hope people are over it now. When you go into the big cities, the university cities with very many lips, you see people outside wearing a mask still, but it's more the exception than the rule.
Yeah, I think that's what it is here now too. It's mostly like the place where we go to co-op is actually a pretty liberal town, and so like I will see people on the sidewalks there like with their masks on, and I'm like, you're the only person outside, like what is that doing for you? Like explain it to me.
Interesting is they always told us, at least in Austria and Germany, so I experienced the first lockdown in Austria and then the other trillions of lockdowns here in Germany. And they always told us, you are not wearing the mask for yourself because it doesn't work that way. You are wearing the mask for the other one. And that is how masks still usually work. When a surgeon wears a mask, he doesn't want to spit into the patient,
Right.
So I feel like most people who are still wearing masks are afraid of getting infected and not so much caring for other people not to infect them. Right. So it felt very, I don't know. It's selfish. Right. It was a make-believe. It was a make-believe to say, no, I'm doing this for other people and so on. Really, they do it for themselves because they are
for themselves. And there's been a thing going on liberal Instagram. I don't know if you follow any of the liberal people, but like a lot of people are, oh, I'm guilty. I should have worn a mask when I was at this thing, or I should have, there's still immunocompromised people out there. I should be wearing a mask for them. And it's kind of like,
well, it's a belief system to a certain extent that, it's a combination of I care for you more. There's a level of holiness. There's confession. It's like, why don't you just go to church?
Yeah. We have all that confession and so on. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, for a lot of people, it's turned into a religion, and that's why they do it. And them wearing a mask is them being better than you and showing how much they care about other people. And it's not just about the sickness anymore, but it's interesting.
It's a virtue signal. Yeah,
it sure is. But I just think it's really interesting that I'm in New York State, Anne's in South Dakota, you're in Germany, and we're all still seeing the same things because people inside are still the same. You've still got the people who are gonna who are missing something, who want to fill it with their I'm caring for you, I'm taking, it's the virtue signal part of it. It's just interesting.
Yeah. You were asking if I follow liberal Instagrammers. No. when Biden was elected, I cleared up my my followers, and so who I was following, because it was crazy what was going on during the election on Instagram. And when I posted, one of the first things Biden said or announced, that was this unisex toilet thing, this gender stuff, that men are allowed to go on a women's toilet. And I was posting this and I said, okay, I don't want a man on my toilet. Sorry. And I don't want my future girls to deal with it. Boy, I was receiving so many mean comments and messages for that. And I thought, hey, that's common sense. I thought that is common sense. And so I went through all my accounts and unfollowed many people, because I don't want to deal with it. When I sit on the couch and chill and watch Netflix and browse through my feed, I don't want to get to other people to scream at me or tell me what their pronouns are. I'm very not interested in that. But what I really enjoy is when Matt Walsh reacts to Lips of TikTok. That is hilarious. So that is very hilarious, but only small doses, not too much, because otherwise you get crazy if you listen to them too much.
You can't have a steady dose of any of this stuff. And you mentioned it before, where you stopped watching the news because it was messing with your mental health. And when I was pregnant with my second kid, I was like bawling on the phone about the world is going to end and what are my kids going to do? And my mom goes, take a step away from the news. So I still watch it because Anne and I, we talk about the news, but I don't watch it every day. You got to kind of protect yourself from it, because these things are happening whether or not you watch it. And so, you should always be informed, but I don't necessarily think that you need to have the steady diet of doom and gloom.
I have my husband for that, because he is working for our Conservative Party here in Germany. And he has to deal with all the news things and so on. So I get it filtered through him. He tells me all the things I really need to know, if something very special happened or something I need to know. And other than that, I pretty much never consume German television, because it's bad. We have bad actors and stupid people on TV. So I usually only watch news related, the Daily Wire. That is my favorite news outlet, so to say. And it's funny.
It's good to have the humor in there.
And they have very good documentaries. I don't know if you have watched the new documentary by Candace Owens about BLM.
Not yet.
Oh, that is very interesting. Very interesting. Where did the money go? And Candace found out. It was very interesting. And how the Minnesota is the state and Minneapolis is the city. Yeah.
Yep.
What Minneapolis looks like now, and how the crime rate increased after the George Floyd happening and so on. Very interesting. I can recommend watching that.
Very
the
good.
Greatest Lie Ever Sold, the documentary is called.
Okay. That's good to know. The Daily Wire is the one that put out the Matt Walsh one too, right? What is a woman?
Yeah, they have Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Andrew Klavan, and Michael Knowles, and Candace Owens.
Okay, because I got a subscription so I could watch that documentary, and so
you are a member of the Daily Wire, not only YouTube. Yeah, so you can watch it. Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys want to watch it, you got to be on the Daily Wire, I guess. But it sounds like it's worth it.
Definitely. Yeah, I became a member for the Fauci documentary. That was very interesting. And then What is a Woman came out by Matt Walsh, and that was amazing.
What is a Woman, I shook my head the entire time I was watching it, because it was just great. Like, the things that people are trying to convince you of is just nuts, and I'm like, okay. Oh man.
My favorite scene, on the street, some passenger, Matt Walsh asked him, what is a woman? I can't tell you what a woman is, because I am not a woman. Can you tell me what a cat is? Yes. Are you a cat? Oh. I love that. You know, it's this one step, only think one step further, you know, they can't do that.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think I would add to all the viewer, because I mean, your viewers are politically interested, I think. And I think they are over cancellation and all that, and they are frustrated. And I would like to say that it's in our hands to form the community. And you are doing a great job for that. So we have to surround us by people, maybe digitally, if it's not possible in real life, by people who think alike and who stay positive and who want to actually do something and not only criticizing what happens in the world like the leftists do. And that is increasing definitely life's quality. And so I would encourage everyone to just be a more active part of our community here in the comments and on Instagram and everywhere, in our Telegram groups. It's worth it because we are awesome. We are really, I think the conservative knitters are so awesome because they are so nice and they are really open-minded. Everyone is welcome.
Yeah. That is true. And no, I can't even add to that. That's perfect. Did you have something else, Anne?
No, I was just going to say, well, that's a great concluding statement, so maybe we should leave it there. But you talked a little bit that you are no longer working for the pro-life organization full-time, that you're now dyeing full-time and podcasting full-time. And if there was any yarns that you didn't have a chance to show off and wanted.
Yeah, I have 3 samples here. These are sock yarn sets. Still, wait, yeah, that's better. This is All Hallows Eve, still an autumnal Halloweeny colorway. And Autumn Vibes. And my favorite colorway is Home. This is the brown in here.
Oh, it's pretty.
Yeah. And I have, next year, my shop will explode, I promise. This year, I still have to fly under the radar because I'm not allowed to earn too much money this year. Taxes and so on. And next year, I will dye so much more, and I will have many minis sets and sock sets and sweaters quantities, and it will be so much fun. Yeah.
That's excellent. Awesome. So before we go, I want to remind everybody to enter to win our giveaway. 2 fantastic books, Little Lives Matter and Odyssey Tale. Both non-woke, both awesome, just great stories. And I swear, I know, I wish we were sponsored by Brave Books, honestly, because I could talk about them all day, but they're just, I love the way that they tell stories to kids. They're just awesome. And it's just, if you have a little kid in your life, make sure you enter to win, because I cannot say enough about them. And then don't forget to check out our Chicken Lady sponsor. Use the code PIKBLUE20 for 20% off your yarn purchase, because Christmas is coming. It's going to get cold. There's no heat. Let's get on the knitting train, guys.
Yeah, check her out, chickenladyfiberarts.com. Finds all sorts of lovely wool. Join her newsletter. She has little promo things on there and extra discounts and all sorts of good stuff.
Yes. And Anna, please tell us, where can our friends find you who might not know where to follow you?
Yeah, pretty much everywhere is Anna Knitter. I think on Instagram, I'm actually called Anna Lena Knitter, but if you type in Anna Knitter, you will find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. My Etsy shop is Anna Knitter Yarns. But the easiest way, I will put it this way, annaknitter.com. There's everything to find. Okay. Social media, newsletter, shop, everything at annaknitter.com.
Awesome. And check out, she's got a mystery knit along, which I usually really, really hate those, but I'm kind of excited. So it looks like a lot of fun. So make sure you check her out. And guys, we will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us, Anna.
Yeah, thank you for having me.